What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 225 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. And today we're talking reviews. Whew, it's gotten a little different since we've been selling on Amazon. I mean, it was really easy to get reviews back in the day. Now there's all kinds of terms of service and all kinds of issues, and it's more challenging, but there are ways, and it's still extremely important to get reviews for your products. So obviously it helps the conversion rate and helps everything else. So we want to find the best tactics possible. So we're talking all about that and much more today with Sam Nedimyer, the director or the digital marketing manager from FeedbackWhiz. What's up, Sam? How are you?
Hey guys, am I going to show my age by saying long-time listener, first-time caller? Nice to absolutely thrilled to be here.
We're excited to have you too. We had Henson on. He's also with FeedbackWhiz. We had him on. That was way back in the day. I don't know how long ago that was. Chris may not be able to find the episode that he was on, but it was probably a year and a half or more ago. So it's been a while since we've talked with FeedbackWhiz. So we're excited to have you on, Sam, and get your insights. And we'll dive all into the reviews and all the. And you've got some new products that you guys are launching inside FeedbackWhiz. So we're excited to talk all about that as well. It's always an evolving ecosystem. There's always, you got to figure out new ways to do all these different things that we're doing to try to sell as many products as we possibly can on e-commerce.
It's the name of the game.
It's the name of the game.
Yeah.
But before we jump into all that, we'd love to hear your story, sort of how you got involved with FeedbackWhiz, what you were doing previously. Just take a few minutes and give us your story.
Excellent. Yeah. So I know we chatted beforehand, so I'll let the listeners and the viewers know about our relationship too. But I used to, in a previous life, I was actually, believe it or not, a police officer down in Washington D.C. about a decade ago. But then I started doing a lot of what they call daily fantasy sports on the side. I started doing a lot of content, producing a lot of different podcasts, kind of had a knack for it, I guess, and kind of switched careers towards a more digital focused role around, well, mainly at the time, it was daily fantasy sports on FanDuel and DraftKings. Eventually got a full-time job in a sports management software company. Moved over to a different role at a company that was bought by ADP, workforce management company. And, after a while, started kind of figuring that, hey, maybe I need to kind of change careers and unleash my inner Adam Smith and kind of get my slice of the e-com pie, right? So joined FeedbackWhiz in December 2021. And I'm happy to say that, I'm much more knowledgeable now than I was in December 2021, and most of that was thanks to listening to you two, Dustin, Chris. It's been, a wonderful kind of educational content y'all are producing. So I know Henson was on about a year and a half ago. He recommended you all, and now I'm just kind of living large and seeing the similar comparisons between selling on Amazon and DFS Sports. There's a lot of different kind of parallels there that are super interesting. So that's kind of my my 2-minute elevator pitch right there for you guys.
You've done a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. Police officer, Chris, weren't you in school for that?
I went down that path.
Yeah. Kind of realized what else, right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before as I had an opportunity, or they wanted me to do an internship at a prison, and that was my aha moment, like, to get the hell out of here. So, I was out of that real quick. So
your job in DC, what was that like? Were you like a police officer in DC, or did it?
Yeah, I was a police officer, fully, I had to swear an oath to the Constitution, protect DC code and enforce DC code, I should say. And but I was at a university right there in the middle of DC, kind of right in the thick of it near Georgetown, and kind of where the Washington Monument is there. So it was good. It was time to move on, though. It really wasn't for me. And I'm much happier now because I get to be I was obviously myself, but now I get to hang out with you guys and talk shop all day long. And it's been a wonderful long transition, but a wonderful transition.
Yeah, the world of e-commerce it's a fun place to be. It's nimble. You got to be like creative and analytical, thinking about customers. It's a fun space. There's always some new things that you can do. Yeah, like you mentioned, we're learning right along with you. Whatever episode that you're listening to, a lot of that information is new tactics to us too, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
You couldn't be more right, Dustin. I agree 100. You got to be analytical. You got to be creative. It's really almost like kind of like solving a puzzle every day, and then you just never finish it. You just got to keep like putting pieces on because the puzzle's getting bigger and bigger. But the thrill is just kind of funny. Like I almost think of like, you know, when in the Dark Knight, the movie The Dark Knight with the Joker and Batman, and the Joker's saying like, you know, I'm just like, I don't know what I would do. I'm like a dog catching a car. I don't know what I'd do if I caught you. I want to just keep chasing the car. That's kind of what it is, you know?
Yeah, it's a game. It's a competition. It's a game. It's a chase. It's really, really fun. But completely different than like a 9-to-5 cubicle job or something where you're doing some of the same tasks over and over again. But I want to touch real quickly on fantasy sports. Because like DFS
loves this.
I love it, especially during the NFL season.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got all my picks in. I've got red zone on. You start getting excited about games that are like completely meaningless and hoping for like you're like, oh, I hope they fumble right here so that I can get this one like Hail Mary pass and get 70 yards to my receiver. I could win. I mean, it makes it really exciting. So you and we're going to chat because you obviously are an expert if you've been doing all that the content and working with companies as well in that space. But I am very amateur. I'm like just a total. It makes whatever I'm watching. If I go to a restaurant and there's a game getting ready to come on, I'm like, okay, let's get a quick pick in for this game. Let's figure this out so we can watch this.
Degenerate you.
Yeah, I know it just makes it so fun. It's awesome. But you can do like 25 cents or something like that. Yeah. And it could win whatever, $40, pay for dinner. Be nice.
You're going to be on the Kansas side before too long. Now that they passed that sports betting, I'm going to see Dustin over there on the Kansas side.
There you go, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down to talk it all the time. You know, I usually, you know, I don't want to give you false advice that you're going to win millions because the expert days are long behind me, but I would love to give you my kind of tips that helped me out for DFS, for baseball and basketball and football when I was really plugging away, you know, 23 hours a day. It felt like a couple of years ago, you know.
Wow.
I love that. I love it. I eat that stuff up.
Oh, that's so fun.
Do you have some? I mean, you don't have to give numbers, but do you have some good places? Like, did you get some good numbers here?
The highest I finished was 8th in like a like 24,000 people, and it was basically like a $2 payout. I won like $3,500, and it was like a $2 bet, and I ended up playing. I'm trying to like. I think this was like during the crazy Russell Westbrook days when he was, you know, or I know what it was DeMarcus Cousins. That guy I was just a rolling his rebounds and blocks and like 30-point games with the Kings in like 2014, 2015, something like that. That was my guy. He was just crushing it.
It's so fun. I was telling Chris, this was like 5 or 6 years ago. I did an NFL one. I did the full weekend. So it was like it came down to the last game. It was Sunday Night Football. It was Monday Night Football because it was they kind of changed things around some now, but it was like a full weekend, and I was in the $1 million pool, like one of those big ones, like a $20 buy-in, and I want to say like I don't know, it was like 25th place. I mean, I was like 50,000 or more that I was sitting at, and I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. Anyway, the game didn't go well for me. I ended up getting like $800, which I should have been stoked about, but I was totally ticked off because I had a chance if some things would have gone my way. But anyone who doesn't play DFS has got to go try it. It is so fun.
Yeah. Just do like 25-cent games, you know, like just do a couple bucks here or there. It's a lot of fun. It really makes you appreciate and watch the game in a different way.
I'll post my DraftKings affiliate code in the description here. Anybody interested? Oh man! All right, well that's good on that. That's so fun to talk about. But now, can you give us a little overview, like your elevator pitch on FeedbackWhiz for everyone who's listening?
Yeah, what's changed? What's been going on with FeedbackWhiz?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think last time that Henson had you, we released a P&L tool, a profits and accounting tool, where you kind of dive deep into ASIN level finances, right? Track your profitability. Obviously, feedback. You hear FeedbackWhiz. That's kind of what we've been doing. That's since we've been here around in 2017, and now we're working on a new product that's in beta right now. It's going to be kind of really cool. I'll touch on that in a little bit, but for the most part, there's been a lot of changes since late 2020, right? Actually, when I started getting into this industry, and it's been cause for some confusion. There's also been some updates, right? Like PPC spends way up. This might be a good time to try to focus your organic review strategy a little bit differently with Costco and inflation and everything. So, we have had changes on Amazon. We had to make some tweaks at FeedbackWhiz. I think we got it off. We had to really pivot real quickly, made some great changes. I'd love to talk with you all about here. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot.
Well, let's dive into those. I'd love to know, because I mean, early on, we've all, Chris uses them. I've used different services for automated emails through Amazon. There was over the years, Amazon's really cracked down and made changes on like the language and the verbiage that you're using in those, what you can say and can't say. I mean, I remember writing emails, if you're unsatisfied at all, please reach out to us.
Yeah. No, now.
Yeah, if you're happy, if you're love the product, would love your honest feedback and a review. But things, that at the time you could say some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But they've really changed it. They've changed how many times you can like actually request a review. Now they have the review request button that can be automated inside the app. That counts as your time, I think, if you do it. You can't really follow up in a sequence. So
absolutely right. Yep.
Talk about just sort of the evolution and some of the things that you're rolling out. This is a great time to talk about those new features.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember the days too where you could just request a review 8, 9, 10, 16 times, right? Like way back in the day. So look, I think the easiest way to get started is maybe just like to explain some of the changes was kind of the things that Amazon changed on, and we had to create a pivot, right? So gone are the days where you could ask 8, 9, 10 times for feedback. It's just one time and that's it. And you basically have a 30-day window, through Amazon there, and you ask one time and that's it. Language had to change, right? Like if you loved our product, please leave a 5-star review. That's going to get nixed. It has to be extremely neutral, right? When you have a moment, please review our product, things like that. You can't really steer the buyer to like kind of put something in like a product review request or product insert card or in your emails. You can't steer them away off of an Amazon website. So there's a lot of different changes. Some of the most common ones are what we kind of hit on there. Is like we see some of the most common like mistakes we see sellers making are right around those three themes right there. So one is just kind of asking if the product review, like, hey, like if you liked it, review. Like you can't do that. So we're seeing a lot of sellers kind of get hit and suspended in late 2020 and into 2021, and actually even into today, right, in 2022. So some of the things we tweaked around was automating. You mentioned it, Dustin, is automating the request to review button. It's probably the simplest and most efficient way where you can just kind of set up and forget it type of strategy. Essentially, when you go into your Seller Central, you can press that request review button right there. And, if you have like 1,000 orders a day that you're fulfilling or that Amazon's fulfilling on your behalf, that could get pretty tedious. So that was kind of a no-brainer there in terms of making sure that sellers weren't getting suspended. And that's honestly still kind of the most common way that people are sending out review requests. The only downside there is it's, you're only allowed to send that out after 5 days of delivery and within 30 days. So if you have a product, for instance, that you really want to get right in front of the consumer, because your goal is to, with your review strategy, your goal is to get your brand front and center, get your customer, ask them to review it at the right time, right? So if you have if you're selling cell phones, for instance, or that's probably a terrible probably a terrible comparison, but any type of electronic, I would say iPods, but you can't buy those anymore because Apple's getting rid of those. That's a fun little thing from yesterday. But you want to capture, like, it's electronic. You want to capture the customer's reaction immediately. You don't want to wait like 3 weeks, because then they're going to think about like, oh, well, I've been using this for 3 weeks, right? So using things like timing triggers like that, setting up timing triggers based on your business's KPIs. That's where the power of sending the the emails through buyer seller messaging is right now. So a lot of changes that came through Amazon. Those are the most common ones. We've got a lot of content on our blog that should help any seller in terms of what those changes look like, and we'd be happy to share with your audience on those as well too. And then in terms of kind of going on to a business aspect, we released a P&L tool, profits and loss tool, and we actually have a product in beta right now with our users that you're actually going to be able to track the efficiency of your review strategy down to the ASIN, right? So check out the profitability, like orders versus, revenue, right? Or reviews and versus revenue or profits that you're able to track. So those are the kind of the biggest changes we're making right now, is basically really putting a dollar amount into your, like an ROI into your review strategy that you want to kind of maintain and upkeep, and for to make sure that you're actually, making money off of your review strategy.
What's working best? Is it the request review, or is it the email coming from the brand? What do you, when the request review came out, everybody probably jumped on that. I'm still doing that. I don't do any email, just because the sheer fear of wrong wording and getting my account suspended, right?
Yeah,
which is probably not something anyway. But yeah, what's the comparison looking like now?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one we get all the time. I can't really, we always say that the BSM emails with our customer, we don't really have access to our customers' data, right? We're an Amazon software partner, so we have to maintain certain privacies. So when we ask our users and customers, we were at Prosper a week, or I guess about 2 months ago now, and asking them like, hey, which one do you prefer? What works better? And honestly, about 75 to 80% said the custom emails actually work better. Now this is going to be users that are kind of testing between different ASINs and putting a review strategy that's testing. And the reason is because you're actually able to implement your brand and your personalization into your email, right? Your brand's voice, you're able to kind of keep that. And so customers tend to like that. And, it doesn't really matter if you're selling on Amazon, buying from Amazon, or opening an email from, doing D2C or something. Customers want kind of consistency from your brand. And one of the ways we're allowed to do that is you're actually able to send, especially if you're a private label seller, you send your company's logo through there, and you can actually have them reply to emails directly if they have any questions. So it offers a better level of customer engagement that otherwise an automated, set and forget it type strategy won't allow. You send out the request a review button, you automate that. Customers can't necessarily they can't at all reply to those emails. They basically just click and leave you 4 stars or 5 stars or a review. And through Amazon's terms of service, you actually are allowed to say, hey, if you have any questions or issues, please reply to this email. And obviously, as long as people are setting up, exclusion lists to make sure that people aren't, we have a real-time API with our refunds and returns, set an exclusion list to make sure that people that are asking for returns or refunds aren't even asked for a review too. So that's makes it a little bit easier to optimize on both sides there. But great question, Chris. I think it's, number one, I would say whatever you're most comfortable with for your business. But number two, if you really are looking for a data-driven answer, it's going to be the BSM emails and the custom emails.
What should those emails say? What's a good message in those buyer-seller messaging? What wording should the email contain, and what should it not contain, so that we're not just suspending our accounts?
Yeah, excellent question. So the easiest, we actually have a bunch of pre-built templates for our users that can just go right in there. They're Amazon vetted. So we kind of help make sure that if you want to use a template, we provide that for you. But there's kind of 3 things to consider, right? One, always a neutral tone. Thank you for your purchase of, Amazon order ... whatever it is. You put in also the product name, right? Just copy and paste. And it's basically, if you do you mind spending, and we hope you enjoy our product. Do you mind spending a quick minute to review and rate our product. Product reviews help customers like yourself be informed on what they're purchasing, and then just kind of link right there to whatever you want the customer to do. That's it. It's as simple as that. We see with the simpler you make the email, the simpler or the quicker that the customer will engage with it and do exactly what you want them to do, which is either leave feedback or product review. Now you can add in there too something like, hey, we really appreciate your business, and if you have any further questions or issues, like, please reply. You can always contact me through this email, right? You can add that. I'm in marketing, so I kind of like when I send out an email, I want it to make sure that whatever I'm sending, I want that reader to do. So we're working with a few other users here to do some more testing on some of those templates, and we'll probably have some great data to share with our customers and our users here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So, 2 to 3 weeks after we have a proper testing time set in there. So I'd say it's as easy as that. And if you don't want to get any emails back, we can't really guarantee that, because sometimes people will just reply regardless. Like, take out that last line, right? Like, hey, you can always contact me, and make sure you get the customer doing exactly what you want them to do, which is private. If you're a private seller, you want them to leave a product review, and if you're a drop ship or you're doing reselling, then you want them to leave feedback.
What is a good review rate? What do you see, like an average industry? Like, is it 2%, 3%? How often are people leaving reviews? Because honestly, like, I buy a lot on Amazon. I'm sure all three of us do. I can't really remember the last time I left a review.
Yeah, no, and typically, what happens, Chris? Like, if you're going to leave a review, it's because you're upset, right? Like, that's typically how it works. Or
I'm really blown away. Like,
yeah,
I gotta be blown away. I gotta love it. I gotta be overvalued. Like, overvalue all that stuff.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you got to be blown. Like, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a fantastic. This was amazing, or I'm so mad. The average review rate. Amazon doesn't release that data, but there's enough information out there from both our users and kind of out there in the industry as a whole that it's about 1% to 2%, and that'll just kind of depend, varying on who you ask. But it's anywhere about 1% to 2%. And a lot of our users, when they implement some of the best practices we're talking about here, right? Like making sure that you have an exclusion, you don't send out a review to anyone that's asked for a refund or set up a return. You want to set up the correct delivery times, right? Like maybe one day after delivery. And when I say delivery times, I don't want you to focus on like days of the week or anything like that, because that'll kind of drop your conversion rate. I wanted you to send out the email to the user at the appropriate time after delivery, right? So when we talk about delivery times, that's kind of what we mean. Set those up what are best for your business. The custom BSM emails, excuse me. We see a lot of our Amazon, our users who are kind of like coaches and other, really, really ingrained. Some of our really good users going for about 7 to 10%. So that's a nice little kind of, and with the cost of PPC just kind of going astronomical. I know there's a great piece on Marketplace Pulse that came out about maybe 6 weeks ago, that the spend on Amazon's just kind of gotten astronomical to the point where I believe it was 4 out of every 20 posts you see that a buyer sees are organic. Everything else is sponsored or some type of ad. So if you can like increase that review rate from 1% to 2% to 7 to 10%, you're just increasing your seller strength and your ability to your seller authority and your ability to reach that user in those first 4 spots that are reserved to organic. So I would say right about there, Chris, that the review rates that we're seeing from some of our best users are 7 to 10%. And the only thing that changes is based on what the product is.
What's a good time frame to send a message? So I sell you a product today. When would be a good time for that brand to send a review request to you?
Yeah, another great question. Another one we get all the time, and I think it's also something you got to focus on your product and what your business, right? So it's if you have like a toy that's I was going to say baby formula, but we're kind of on a shortage right now. But any type of like baby food, you probably want to get that review as quickly as possible. But if you're selling supplements, right, like you're not going to want to ask a day after you kind of want someone to, use the supplements for a while. It's going to be a little bit longer of a kind of a review ask. So maybe 30 days out, 25 days out. Our support team, our head of support, Gigi, she's amazing. She's got all the information, and she's able to kind of go down by what users are doing by product. And it comes down to what they say is, hey, make sure you understand your customer, right? Like we understand our customer, but our customer is a seller. If you're selling, your customer is the buyer. And so I don't want to say you have to set up like a buyer persona or anything like that, because then you're getting too deep. But just kind of think about when you would and if you don't know the data, like just think about when you would want to be asked for that product, right? And then there's nothing better than testing. Set up different tests. Let's say you start with 2 days and you track it, and there's only a 2% growth in reviews. Like, all right, let me try 3 days and then test it versus 1 day, because there's nothing better than getting the data from your own customers that you can use for your benefit.
What about the number of follow-ups that you do? I'm not 100% sure what the terms of service are on that anyway, or if there isn't one. I remember back in the day, I would have these email flows that would be like, hey, we're excited to let you know your product has shipped. It will, it's on its way. And then it's like, hey, we're just letting you know that it was delivered today. And then it was like, after that, it was like, we'd love to get your feedback on the product to help people out. What is a good sequence? Is there too little, too many? What kind of information are you letting them know about in those emails? What does that look like?
Excellent question. Another great one here, because you kind of have to have that drip sort of mentality as you focus on the perfect customer engagement, email and review strategy. So you ask for I'll start it from like the purchase on, right? So you buy a purchase, and you'll get the automatic notification. If you're FBM, you want to send out when it's a delivery. You also want to send out when it's the date of delivery, then also when it's going to be shipped out. That's allowed within Amazon's terms of service. Warranty information, right? Or maybe you need to have important information regarding the product. Let's say it's something that could be flammable, right? Amazon will let you send that, and you just kind of say like important information regarding, Amazon order. That's allowed because that's something that could be potentially dangerous, right? So you actually are, you're able to send those types of messages. Obviously, if you're not sending something dangerous like that and you use that to kind of game the system, you'll probably be caught by Amazon. So we don't recommend that. But another thing that you brought up a great point. 'Cause another thing I want to be clear, when you're setting up your cadence right there, users that are buying on Amazon, they're most likely on their phone, on their laptop, definitely on their phones or laptops. But you want to make sure you just continually part of the communication. Like, don't leave any type of questions they may have up for debate. You can basically say like, hey, important product instructions, for instance. Don't put product instructions in the box, right? Something that needs to be built. Like, send it right to the consumer. Everyone's already digital facing on Amazon, so you can send product instructions as well too. I would say a really nice cadence is probably 4. You have and some of that will be automated, based on like whether you're FBA or FBM. So from there, with a shipment, delivery, product instructions, or important information, warranty information, for instance, and then one follow-up and only one follow-up and feedback. So I think just having 3, 4 is good depending on your product. I think that's a really good place to start.
Can you put anything else in those emails, like cross-selling other products or coupons, even as long as it's all inside Amazon? Can you say, hey, thanks for shopping with us, here's 20% off of this ASIN? Is that allowed? No? Yes?
So that is excellent. That's probably the best. That is probably the most that's like the most infuriating question. Like, I don't want to say like that, but like we're trying to figure that out from Amazon, because we see some people get suspended. Right now, we say no, don't send that, because it could get caught up in the algorithms. The terminology with Amazon is a little kind of not clear here, right? They're specific when they say you can't incentivize by leaving a review. But if you say like, hey, we appreciate it, here's a coupon for your, we don't really recommend that at all. Because it could be flagged by Amazon. You could see yourself suspended, and then you're at the mercy of Amazon support. And quite frankly, who knows how long that could take. So we would do a hard recommend against doing things like that, at least within the emails.
Okay, so we're talking about reviews in 2022.
Yep.
Let's say you've just launched a product right now, and you're trying to set up the best strategy to get the maximum amount of reviews that you can, all above board, all in line with terms of service. What do you do? What do you set up?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just gonna make it super easy and say, first off, get FeedbackWhiz, right? Like, make sure you have FeedbackWhiz set up and primed, and reach out to your account manager to make sure it's all set up correctly. But what you want to do is kind of work backwards a little bit to make sure that the entire work forwards and backwards a little bit, right, from product launch. So what I would do though is maybe a little bit testing, because I'm kind of a weird tester like that. And I don't necessarily recommend this for everyone, but it's just something to think about, right? Maybe you want to do a soft product launch, right? And the only reason I'm saying this, I had a really interesting conversation with one of our customers at the Prosper show, and I thought it was just mind blowing, right? Like P. Diddy and get him to the Greek, like that kind of stuff right there. And they wanted to do kind of like a soft launch, and then only target email requests to repeat buyers. So within our tool, you're actually able to do that. And because we talked about targeting and excluding anyone that hasn't given. So let's say that, chances are you'll probably get somebody that purchased your product before. You'll probably get one again. I believe the numbers right now are around 70, depending on the data, about 35% of users will be repeat buyers, right? Specifically on e-com I'm talking about. So you maybe kind of utilize that to your advantage. If somebody's a repeat buyer and they buy again, they're typically going to give you great feedback or a great review. So maybe you kind of want to do a soft product launch there, and then before you start throwing out some ad spend, you maybe get a feel for what the users are, what your customers are saying about it. Maybe they replied and said, oh, it's great. You can use some of that terminology for when you blast out a PPC campaign. That's kind of, I would probably start it out. I would probably start out a little bit like that. Maybe a soft launch to get it in front of your buyers with a little bit of budget on through PPC, and then set up like a really like targeted review request with people that have previously left a review or feedback for you. For most people though, it's going to be super simple. 1, set up your timing triggers based on your business metrics. 2, make sure that you have exclusion lists set up so that you're not asking people that have asked for a refund or a return, right? That's the 2 easiest things you can do immediately. Create campaigns by ASIN, because somebody who buys a product is probably going to be a similar challenge or pain point that has from somebody else that bought that same product. So you want to make sure you don't want to do campaigns by marketplace or anything like that. You want to go by ASIN, timing triggers, set up exclusion lists, and make sure you're using, whether you use feedback, obviously you want to use FeedbackWhiz, but make sure you have a tool you're using that can deliver those custom buyer seller messagings within Amazon's terms of service, because that will really drive your review rates up to about 7 or 10%. It's that simple, just really 3 simple things that can really drive from 1 to 2% to 7 to 10%. And it's those, maybe don't overcomplicate it. It's really, really the 3 things right there that are difference between the users that are seeing those big number gaps.
I want to go to that repeat purchase that play there. So I'm playing this out in my head. I want to use the request review on the first go around, but on the second go around, I want them to get an email and not the request review. Is that something to do? Is that possible?
Yeah, and we would say definitely. So testing is actually something we very much want our users to do. We want you to test, right? Which one's better for you, automated RR versus BSM. The thing to remind yourself is to always shut it off. If it's double check the ASINs, because there could be an issue and you don't want to leave it to Amazon to suspend you. So double check the ASINs there. And let's say like a month, right? So have track it as well. And that's what our tool obviously does. So maybe you say like, hey, May 12th, I'm going to do the request a review button with this ASIN right here. And maybe you have a different ASIN. You want to try the custom BSM, set it off. A month later, come back, maybe June 12th. You're like, all right, this ASIN right here, I want to test out the automated request a review button. For this one, I'm going to use the custom BSM tools. I think testing is the best way for any type of business, whether you're selling on Amazon or not, to get data and always trying to optimize there.
So if I do an ASIN, all products,
Mm-hmm.
their first time they get the request review button. The second time they order, they're going to get an email, but I don't want them to also get the request review button. I want them just to get the email the second time, not the button.
I think I misunderstood your questions. Now I understand what you're saying here, Chris. I don't want to confuse anyone, so I apologize there. So the way our and you're talking about repeat targeting repeat buyers. Yeah, okay. So you'll never know who the buyer is because Amazon doesn't release that. However, we do trigger within emails that you're able to see with our tool how many repeat buyers are purchasing like different products, right? So this is probably more so that we see with private label sellers. So what we mean by targeting repeat buyers is somebody that has previously sold any ASIN that you have. It doesn't have to be the same ASIN. It can be whatever ASINs that you own, right? Whatever child ASINs, right? Different sizes, or let's say you're doing clothes. It could be any ASIN that you have synced to FeedbackWhiz and synced into your Seller Central that comes to FeedbackWhiz. That's what we mean by targeting repeat buyers. So when you do kind of a new launch, right? Maybe you just want to set up a campaign that's targeting only repeat buyers that you've done business with before. This could be a week ago or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I apologize for the confusion there, but that's what we mean by repeat buyers.
Yeah, I was thinking more on ASIN level, but it could be account level is what.
Right. Exactly. Category level. Perfect. Yep.
It's an interesting conversation because I'm in the same boat with Chris. Is when that request review button came out. And there was a lot of talk about the wording inside your emails and that buyer seller messaging. I got a little scared. I kind of backed off. I just started doing request review, but I feel like I'm missing an opportunity here to get more touch points with my customers. Mm-hmm. And this is something that might need to be revisited and retested in terms of messaging. It's interesting. So your team, if we come on, use FeedbackWhiz, you've got people there that can help us make sure that we're staying above board, getting the right messaging, the right cadence, and all that in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We got our account team's always there to help out. I'm also always here to help out. We had a nice little conversation about wearing several hats at startups and businesses, and I'm happy to help out. Right, you guys can find me on LinkedIn or send me an email. It's just super easy. Sam@feedbackwhiz.com. I promise we'll get you the right information in front of the right people. But yeah, I mean, it's a great point, Dustin. Like, and this is that we've heard this. We've heard you're not. This is a very, very similar type of conversation that we've had with our users and other sellers. Is there's a lot of changes. Like, and it's a valid concern. You never want to get suspended because then you're kind of screwed a little bit. But you can still automate the request review button if you are suspended. But there's nothing like getting that nice little edge, right? There could be a big difference from 1 to 2%. To 4 to 5% jumps, like that can be a big difference between your competition that, quite frankly, maybe they're not utilizing.
I love it. Well, everyone who's listening right now is, if they're not currently using FeedbackWhiz and they're interested, what do they need to do to get started?
Absolutely. Just go to feedbackwhiz.com. You can sign up in a 30-day free trial, right? You can text me. You can email me if you want as well. And we'll get your trial started and any questions you have, and we'll help you set on board. We'll ask you questions to make sure that we set you up with the right type of strategy. And just feel free to reach out. FeedbackWhiz.com, 30-day free trial. I promise, like we'll be able to work with you if there's any issues with if you want to, maybe you're using a separate tool, we could work with you there as well. We have some flexible pricing options that will help you out, and that's the easiest way to get started.
I love it. Well, I encourage everyone to go check you guys out, feedbackwhiz.com. Sam, it's been fun. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Again, I was super thrilled to be a part of this. I really appreciate all the stuff you're doing out there.
Love it. We're glad to have you. It was super insightful. Love all the tips and tactics. We'll be checking that out again. I'm going to revisit my messaging strategy.
I was just looking at mine.
Yeah.
I'll be revisiting that today for sure, but really appreciate it. We also really appreciate everyone who tuned in today. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. You can also see the live streams on on Solozo's social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, All of our past episodes and videos are there.
And leave a review.
And leave a review. Yes, we can say it here.
I mean, we're having a podcast about reviews. We might as well say.
Yeah, leave a 5-star review. That's what you got to say. We can say it here.
You use whatever you incentivize, however you guys want. You're not an Amazon.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
Reviews are great.
Yeah, we'll keep doing these for 5-star reviews. But yeah, so definitely leave that. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get notified when we go live. And additionally, if you are selling on Amazon right now and you're either struggling with advertising or it's taking up too much of your time, or as Sam mentioned, you're concerned about the higher cost per clicks now and trying to figure out, hey, is there a way I can optimize my campaigns better to get some efficiency out of my advertising dollars? Yes, there is, and we can help you at Solozo. So just go to Solozo.com. You can book a demo. You'll talk with either Chris or myself, and we'll show you the power of Solozo's platform to optimize your campaigns for you automatically. Solozo.com. Go check it out. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Sam, thanks for joining us. We will see you.